The next 30 seconds could save you hundreds on your car insurance. At The Hartford, we're passionate about your protection. If you're 50 or over, AARP Auto Insurance from The Hartford gives you benefits that really matter. And you could save $597 when you switch. How's that for a little peace of mind? Visit trusthartford.com today. The Hartford, your protection is our passion. The Hartford Insurance Group, Inc. pays royalty fees to AARP for the use of its intellectual property. AARP and its affiliates are not insurers. Savings vary.
Hey listeners, this is Peter and welcome back to the History Shorts. Today's episode is brought to you by the Podcast Republic, your ultimate listening app. Discover and subscribe to thousands of podcasts from around the world. Download Podcast Republic today, available on Google Play and the Apple App Store. Today on History Shorts, one of the most powerful and controversial powers granted to the President of the United States is the ability to wipe away a crime with a stroke of a pen. The Constitution gives the President the authority to grant pardons and clemency for federal offenses. It's a power rooted in mercy, but throughout American history, it has also sparked outrage, political backlash, and national debate. Sometimes pardons have healed a divided country. Other times, they've deepened the divide. From the nation's earliest days to modern politics, presidential pardons have revealed something profound about leadership, justice, and power. Today's History Brief uncovers some recent history news. A quick word from our sponsors.
Ryan Reynolds here from Mint Mobile. I don't know if you knew this, but anyone can get the same premium wireless for $15 a month plan that I've been enjoying. It's not just for celebrities, so do like I did and have one of your assistants switch you to Mint Mobile today. I'm told it's super easy to do at mintmobile.com/switch.
Upfront payment of $45 for 3-month plan, equivalent to $15 per month required. Intro rate first 3 months only, then full price plan options available. Taxes and fees extra. See full terms at mintmobile.com.
This day in history. On March 21st, 1960, South African police opened fire on demonstrators in Sharpeville protesting apartheid. The Sharpeville massacre killed 69 people and intensified global condemnation of South Africa's racial policies. On March 21st, 1804, the Napoleonic Code was enacted under Napoleon Bonaparte, creating a legal system that would influence civil law around the world. Story of the day. The authority comes directly from the Constitution. Article 2 grants the President the power to issue reprieves and pardons for federal crimes. The founders believed such a power was necessary. Courts could punish, but sometimes the nation needed mercy. Alexander Hamilton defended the very idea in Federalist No. 74, arguing that a single executive could provide seasonable acts of mercy when the law was too rigid. From the beginning, the pardon power was meant to be broad and sometimes controversial. It didn't take long before a president tested it. The first dramatic use of the pardon power came in 1795. A violent tax revolt had erupted in western Pennsylvania. Farmers, furious over a federal tax on whiskey, attacked tax collectors and threatened rebellion. President George Washington responded by sending nearly 13,000 militia troops to restore order. The uprising collapsed quickly, but several of the rebellion's leaders were convicted of treason. Washington then did something remarkable. After the government proved its authority, he pardoned them. The decision was meant to calm tensions and reunify the country. In doing so, Washington set an early precedent. Presidential pardons could be used not just for individuals, but for national healing. The next major use of the pardon power came after a bitter political fight. During the presidency of John Adams, Congress passed the Alien and Sedition Acts. These laws made it a crime to criticize the federal government, and several journalists and political opponents were promptly jailed under them. When Thomas Jefferson became president in 1801, he viewed the law as unconstitutional. One of his first acts in office was to pardon everyone convicted under the Sedition Act. It was a powerful political statement. Through clemency, Jefferson effectively erased the enforcement of a law that he believed violated free speech. The pardon power had become a tool not just for mercy, but of political philosophy. During the Civil War, Abraham Lincoln used the pardon power frequently, sometimes in ways that frustrated his own generals. Union soldiers convicted of desertion or sleeping on guard duty could face execution. Lincoln often intervened personally. He believed that young soldiers deserved a second chance. Historians have documented dozens of cases where Lincoln commuted death sentences or issued pardons. One of the most unusual pardons even involved his own extended family. Lincoln granted clemency to Emil Todd Helm, the half-sister of his wife Mary Todd Lincoln and the widow of a Confederate general. The decision raised eyebrows in wartime Washington, but Lincoln believed reconciliation would eventually be necessary to rebuild the nation. After Lincoln's assassination, the pardon power was used on an even larger scale. President Andrew Johnson issued pardons to thousands of former Confederates. In fact, Johnson eventually granted clemency to roughly 14,000 Confederate supporters, including wealthy Southern elites and political leaders. Even Confederate President Jefferson Davis was eventually freed without trial. Johnson hoped that widespread pardons would help reunify the country. Instead, critics argued the policy allowed former Confederates to regain political power way too quickly. The Reconstruction era that followed would remain one of the most turbulent chapters in American history. Still, perhaps the most famous presidential pardon came in 1974. That year, Richard Nixon resigned from the presidency amid the Watergate scandal. His successor, Gerald Ford, faced an immediate decision. Should the former president be prosecuted? Ford chose a different path. He issued a full and unconditional pardon to Nixon for any crimes he may have committed while president. Ford argued that the country needed to move forward. He said the pardon would help America avoid years of political turmoil. Many Americans, however, were furious. Some believed Nixon had escaped justice. The decision likely cost Ford politically, but it remains one of the most consequential uses of the pardon power in all of U.S. history. A few years later, another president used the pardon power to confront the legacy of war. On his first day in office in 1977, Jimmy Carter issued a blanket pardon to hundreds of thousands of Americans who had evaded the Vietnam War draft. The decision fulfilled a campaign promise. Carter believed that the country needed reconciliation after years of conflict and division. But the pardon also angered many veterans who believed that draft evasion had been dishonorable. Once again, the power of clemency stirred a national debate about justice and forgiveness. In recent decades, presidential pardons have continued to spark controversy. Some involve political allies, and others involve wealthy or powerful figures. One of the most criticized came in 2001 when Bill Clinton issued a last-minute pardon to financier Mark Rich, who had fled the country while facing charges of tax evasion and illegal trading with Iran. The pardon triggered congressional investigations and accusations of political favoritism. Other presidents have faced similar criticism when pardoning associates involved in political scandals. These controversies highlight this central tension in the pardon power. It's almost unlimited and largely unchecked. The president does not need any congressional approval, nor does the Supreme Court typically intervene. The power rests almost entirely on one person's judgment. Yet, despite the controversy, presidential pardons do serve several purposes. They can correct injustices, they can show mercy, and they can help resolve political crises. Throughout American history, presidents have used clemency to respond to national conflicts, as we've seen from Whiskey Rebellion to the Civil War to the Vietnam War. In some cases, pardons have been acts of compassion. In others, they have been acts of political calculation. Often, they have been both. The History Brief. Today, with some history news, we're traveling back nearly 2,000 years to the Roman Empire, where archaeologists have finally solved the mystery behind an ancient stone game board with the help of artificial intelligence. The artifact in question is a small limestone slab discovered at the Roman settlement of Corvalum, in what is now the Netherlands. The stone is etched with a network of straight and diagonal lines, and for years, archaeologists suspected it might be a game board, but no one knew exactly how the game worked. The problem? There's no written rules that survived. So researchers turned to AI. A team from Leiden University used a game-playing artificial intelligence system called Ludi, which is designed to analyze and simulate board games. They trained the AI using the rules of around 100 known ancient and medieval games from the same cultural region. Then, the real experiment began. 2 AI players were set loose on a digital version of this Roman board. The system tested more than 100 possible rule sets, playing thousands of simulated matches, and tracking how pieces moved across the board. Researchers then compared those movement patterns with the wear marks carved into the stone itself, grooves left by players sliding pieces along certain lines centuries ago. After analyzing the results, the AI identified 9 possible rule sets that matched the physical wear patterns on the stone. All of them turned out to be variations of a strategic 2-player blocking game. In this type of game, players move pieces along the board trying to trap their opponent's pieces and limit their movement. Researchers have even given the game a name, Ludus Corvalli, meaning the game of Corvalum, after the ancient town where the board was found. Today, the reconstructed version can actually be played digitally against the AI that helped rediscover it. But scientists are very careful to add one caveat. The AI likely found a plausible version of the game, not necessarily the exact rules that the Romans used. As one researcher explained, if you give the program a pattern of lines, it will always be able to invent rules that fit. Still, the discovery is exciting for historians. Board games were a popular pastime in the Roman world, and reconstructing them gives scholars new insights into how people socialized, competed, and entertained themselves nearly 2 millennia ago. And thanks to modern artificial intelligence, a game that vanished from memory for centuries may finally be playable once again. Thank you so much for spending some time with me today and helping make this little show such a mighty success. If you are enjoying this show and would like to help with its production, you can always donate a few dollars at buymeacoffee.com or become a Patreon member to enjoy these episodes ad-free. Both links can be found on our website at www.historyshortspodcast.com. And I hope you guys check out our YouTube channel, where I recently started a new series called 25 Events That Made America. Have a great rest of your day, and I will talk to you all again tomorrow.